What's going on, y'all? It's your man Stephen Bardo coming at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. Was at home for a family reunion, had a blast. So we got a lot to get to today. The Illini land a huge recruit. Will Riley is supposedly the truth. So we'll talk about that. We'll look into the way too early top 26 preseason rankings by CBS. I'll also give you a Illini story about one of my former teammates, and then we'll talk about the players and where they're kind of projected, the Big Ten players, where they're going to be projected for the upcoming NBA draft this week. So all that, plus taking your questions here today on Bardo's Breakdown. Ryan, hit the intro. All right. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, man. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Will Riley from Canada, 5-star recruit, is a projected NBA pick when he decides to come out. This is a young man at 6'8", 180, a little light in the britches, but has got a tremendous upside that Brad Underwood has spoken tremendously about here early on. Ryan, you want to run that video of his? So this is a young man who is 6'8". He's a shot maker. Brad Underwood talks about he's got the it factor. And so when you talk about players that can go create, this young man can score at all three levels. You see how tall he is because Orlando Antigua was probably 6'5". So this is a legit 6'8" player that's going to come to the Illini out of Canada. And he's a guy that I think is going to have to find his way in this crowded roster of the Illini. But I think with his ability to score, his ability to create, I think, like I said, I think he's a little light in the britches. But once he gets on campus with Fletcher, the strength and conditioning coach, I think that he will really, really blossom. And again, when Coach Underwood says he's got the it factor, and the schools, I believe it was Kentucky, Arkansas, and Kansas, or no, it was Kentucky, Alabama, and Arkansas, in addition to G League overtime, I think that he was considering. But when you get a player like this that's going to reclassify and come in and be ready for the season, the Illini look like they have 2 starting 5 lineups to work with. So a huge get for this kid, Will Riley, to come to the Illini. Will Riley is the highest ranked recruit since D. Brown, ladies and gentlemen. That goes back to 2002, I believe. This is a huge get on top of the impressive spring that the Illini have already had building their lineup. So the Illini fans should be very, very excited about this young man. Tremendous upside. And let's see how he fits in this crowded and talented roster for the 2024-2025 version of the Fighting Illini. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table. Looking forward to going and checking out maybe a summer workout or two. And we'll see how things turn out. But really, really excited to learn more about this young man, to watch his progress, and to see how he blends, how quickly he can blend in with the Illini. All right, moving on. We wanted to talk about Big Ten teams in the way too early preseason top 25. We're going off of CBS.com's their preseason rankings. And so when you look at it, let me see where we are here. Let's pull up the top 25 graphic. Top 26. I don't know why they put 26 of them in here. But you see the usual suspects: Kansas, Alabama, Houston, North Carolina, Connecticut, round out the top 25. You also got Iowa State, Baylor, Gonzaga, Duke, and Auburn round out the top 10. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I saw some practice clips of the Duke Blue Devils. Man, they are loaded. So the Illini have Duke. The Illini have number 2, Alabama. They have number 13, Arkansas. And they have number 14, Tennessee. All, it looks like all in the top 14. Alabama. Wait, hold on. I'm losing my train of thought. Alabama, Duke, Arkansas, and Tennessee are all in the top 14. In the top 14 are going to be in the non-conference schedule for the Illini. So the Illini are going to be tested early and often. But let's take a look at the Big Ten teams here in this ranking. And I think this was done before Will Riley's commitment to Illinois. I think once this is updated, I'd be very surprised if the Illini weren't in the top 25 in this. But you see Purdue at 12. You're looking at Ohio State at 15, Indiana at 18, UCLA at 19, and Rutgers coming in at 23. So the Big Ten well represented within this group. And so when you look at this too early top 25, obviously when we look at Purdue, we're thinking of Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. I think they'll be one of the top backcourts in all of college basketball for 24-25. So Purdue comes in at 12. Ohio State at 15. Michi Johnson started his college career at Ohio State, transferred out to South Carolina. Now he comes back, and you match him up with Bruce Thornton in the backcourt, along with Aaron Bradshaw, the transfer from Kentucky. And they also got a talented transfer out of San Diego State as well, as in Micah Parrish. And you throw in Sean Stewart, the transfer from Duke. And that's why I think that CBS has ranked Ohio State this high. I was a little surprised to see them this high in the top 25, but obviously it's way too early preseason. And as you can see, as of this weekend, these rosters still aren't set. So this will probably change. Not surprised to see Indiana up here at number 18. You look at it, Miles John. I think I messed that up. Miles Turner, I believe it is. Hoosiers. I think I got that right. Let me double check. Doing too much at one time. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Let me double check. Miles Rice. I knew I messed that up. That's the beauty of technology. I can go in here and change this real quick. I don't know why I said Miles Johnson. I guess I'm thinking of I was thinking back to big fella Miles Johnson from Rutgers. Miles Rice and Umar Ballo would be the inside-outside tandem, the point guard and center combo for Indiana. And Kanan Carlisle is also very, very excited, has the Indiana fan base very excited as well. So Indiana coming in at 18. We're looking at UCLA coming in at number 19. Skylar Clark, one of the transfers, and Dominique Harris. There's not a lot of people talking about him. I know Sebastian Mack is getting a lot of love, one of the guards for UCLA. But Dominique Harris was just shy of a 15-point per game score for Loyola Marymount. This kid can go get it. And so UCLA, Tyler Bilodeau, very talented 6'9" transfer out of Oregon State. UCLA has got they've really flipped their roster with impressive fashion. So UCLA is at 19. And then Rutgers with their talented freshman duo of Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey coming in at 23. A lot of upside on this. Now, Will they get some others to help them to fill out their roster? We're waiting to see. But with this dynamic duo, in terms of what you're going to see out of the rack and Rutgers coming in at number 23. So a lot of excitement with 5 teams in the top 26 in the way too early preseason top 25 on the CBS.com ranking. So that, to me, breeds a lot of excitement up for this upcoming season. Still, like I said, these rosters will still change. There'll be some additions. There might be some subtractions. We'll see. But very exciting. And I wanted to kind of highlight that because, again, I think that with Will Riley committing to Illinois, I believe that Illinois will join this group. There will be 6 in the top 25, top 26 for CBS when they decide to update this list. Don't ask me why I chose CBS.com's. I could have used others, but I chose to use this one. And so that's what we're rolling with. All right, moving on to Flying Illini story time. All right, so there was a young man named Andy Kaufman who was a part of that Flying Illini team that didn't get a chance to play because he was diagnosed with blood clots. And so they had to shut him down for the season. But in the preseason, in the preseason workouts and whatnot, Andy Kaufman wore everybody out. He was the leading scorer in Illinois high school history, and it was for a reason. Andy was 6'4", probably 215, 220. He was strong as an ox, country strong. The young man could score in a phone booth. I don't know if you guys remember Andy Kaufman's jumper. He kind of put it right on top of his forehead. And so he'd get it up and it was gone. He had a lightning quick release. Once he caught it and got in the shooting pocket, it was gone. He didn't jump very high. He shot more of almost a push set shot. He jumped a little bit, but not a lot. When he got to the basket, he was never going to dunk. He was just going to use his broad shoulders, strong core to finish at the rim. And, here's a young man that I was Defensive Player of the Year a couple years, 2 or 3 years later in the Big Ten Conference. I mean, when we had pros, and I guarded a lot of pros, there were very few players in college basketball. Andy Kaufman would have been top 5 among scorers that I ever guarded. And y'all, I guard a ton of NBA players. Andy Kaufman could score with all of them. Andy was a young man that he was such a loving guy, very soft-spoken, but I think he had some issues in his past growing up. I don't know if he was really coached well in high school because when he got to college, the concepts at the college level seemed to confuse him. Him trying to stay within what we were trying to do on the offensive end was a challenge at times because he was a guy that was just given the ball and he could just go and seek out where he could have the advantage offensively. So, and he had some tough times at Illinois. I remember our senior year, his sophomore year, coach really tried to force him into the lineup, and Illini fans would boo him. It made us really kind of sad, that the Illini fans didn't understand some of the challenges that Andy had in terms of retaining certain things. He did not do well in the classroom. And so I just wish that instead of booing him, I wish that they would have sought to understand him a little bit. And part of that was Lou Henson's fault. Lou Henson was trying to force him into the lineup because he knew how well Andy could score, but Andy, the chemistry was an issue. You've got a young man who was a redshirt freshman, and now you got Philip Bowman, who was a senior. Irvin Small was a senior. Kendall and me were seniors. You had guys that were above him in terms of seniority on the team, and yet Andy would revert to what he did best, was catch the ball and go get a bucket, right? And so we loved Andy. He was a little frustrating to play with, but we loved him because his heart was pure as gold. And he's a great guy. I hate the fact that we've lost touch with him. I met his son and his daughter years later. This was probably 15 years ago. And the way that his daughter was looking at me when I was telling her stories about her father, she was hanging on every word I said. So that's one of the story that I love to tell about some of the Flying Illini members who weren't the stars on the team, because it gives a lot of color, gives a lot of background to our experience with that Flying Illini squad. And Andy Kaufman was certainly a part of that. So I hope you enjoyed that story about my man, Andy Kaufman, right? And then lastly, before I get to your questions, look, if you want your free copy of Stephen Bardo's guide, if you want your free copy of Triple Threat, Stephen Bardo's guide to basketball terminology, go to bardostribe.com, BARDOS tribe.com, and sign up to get on the newsletter and sign up to get your free copy of the Stephen Bardo's guide to basketball terminology. It's a fun guide. It's hip hop and jazz references that I use to describe what I'm seeing on the court when I'm working with Big Ten Network, Fox Sports, and NBC covering college basketball. So go get your copy today. It's free, y'all. If you like me, you don't turn down nothing but your collar. So it's free. Go get your free copy today and join the newsletter, because I've got an announcement to make here once we wrap up our last segment. You can also join the tribe. Text me 312-847-2739 to join the tribe and become a member and a tribe member of Bardo's Breakdown. So go do that today. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let me pull this up. Wait a minute. Let me let that ride. Okay. And then finally, before we get to your questions, we want to talk about the Big Ten players that we anticipate will get their names called in the NBA draft this week. And obviously one of them will have his name called where there was some uncertainty, but his situation, talking about Terrence Shannon Jr.'s legal situations, are behind him now. And so NBA teams, I'm sure, have done their due diligence. And let's talk about where we see he and some of the other Big Ten players where we expect to see their names called this week in the NBA draft. Now, my fine intern, Hunter Holly, he utilized ESPN mock draft, Bleacher Report, Yahoo Sports, and Sports Illustrated. He utilized these 4 mock drafts to figure out where these players will go. So Zach Edey, I saw on The Athletic, they had him in the back end of the lottery. I can't remember what squad, but with these 4, we seen the high was number 15 going to the Miami Heat, and the low was number 19 going to the Toronto Raptors. It would be a homecoming for Zach, a Toronto native, and so expect to see him go anywhere from the late lottery or mid first round with the Miami Heat at 15, or the back end with the Toronto Raptors at 19. I do not think Zach Edey is going to fall below that. A lot of teams would be missing out on a fantastic player who I think is going to prove naysayers wrong, like he has in every stage of his career, because he's a tireless worker, like you heard from Purdue assistant Brandon Brantley right here on Bardo's Breakdown a couple weeks ago. All right. So that's Zach Edey. Those are his ranges. Now, Kel'el Ware of Indiana, he seems to have the largest range. And so I've seen the back end of the lottery, number 13 with the Sacramento Kings, all the way down to number 26 with the Washington Wizards. I also had a Miami Heat scout that asked me what did I think of Kel'el Ware as well in terms of his intangibles, some of the things that I saw when I called games, and some of the things that I gleaned from my research with Indiana. And what I told the scout from the Miami Heat is that Kel'el Ware is a condor with a tremendous reach, great timing on the defensive end, a premier rim protector, a guy that can make shots that are very unorthodox. He's a shot creator. I think Mike Woodson got him to tap into his consistent motor. That was a thing that eluded him before he got to Indiana. That was a rub on him. But I thought he showed a consistent motor at Indiana. Thus, the big fellow with his tantalizing athleticism, his length, and now his consistent motor is making him looks like a lock of a first round draft pick. And anywhere from the back end of the first round with Sacramento Kings at 13 all the way to number 26 pick with the Washington Wizards. Next up, Terrence Shannon. And from the 4 mock drafts we chose, number 24 seems to be a consensus because this was on like 3 different mock drafts that I've seen. I think the New York Knicks really like Terrence Shannon Jr. So the high is number 24 with the New York Knicks. The low is number 26 with the Washington Wizards. I've also seen The Athletic had Terrence going the second pick of the second round, the number 32nd pick to the Utah Jazz. So The Athletic had him going the second pick of the second round, but the 4 mock drafts that we utilize all have him going in the first round, which is a great, great sign for a young man that's been through a tumultuous year, but played his tail off, played his ass off, and deserves a first round call in the NBA draft this Wednesday. And then last but certainly not least, Cam Christie. In these mock drafts, we've seen a high of 34 to the Portland Trailblazers and a low of 35 to the San Antonio Spurs. So those 4 mock drafts really have him slotted in that area. The Athletic had him the number 1 pick of the second round, right before the first pick in the second round, the 31st pick, Toronto Raptors. The Athletic had Cam Christie going there. That would be the pick right before Terrence Shannon Jr., where the Athletic had him going 32nd pick to the Utah Jazz. Excuse me, y'all. The Dustin Dander levels are very high today, and you could probably hear it in my voice. My allergies are kicking my you know what, but I'm a soldier, y'all. So we're gonna make it do what it do. All right, that does it for the Big Ten players in the NBA draft. So I'm going to go over to your questions. And while I do, I'm going to type in these dates because I finally got the locations and dates, guys, for the Bardo Breakdown Summer Meetups. So I'm going to type these in, but I'm going to get to your questions first. All right. Yes, Brats. That list, that top 25 list is going to change because Illinois will definitely be in the mix. Chad Alt, what's your best guess on Illinois starting 5 and how deep will our rotation be? The rotation will be 10 deep at least. It could be deeper than that. The starting 5, in my opinion, will be Boswell, Kylan Boswell at the point, KJ at the 2, Trey White at the 3, Ben Humrickhouse at the 4, and Ivicic at the 5. Could be Merez Johnson, because Brad Underwood said that Merez Johnson in their workouts has been the leading rebounder. What Illinois does is a 30-minute scrimmage at the end of their workouts, and as they've tracked those scrimmages, Merez Johnson is the leading rebounder. So it could be Johnson or it could be Ivicic at the starting 5. But I think the 4s, the 4 that I mentioned, Kylan Boswell at the 1, KJ at the 2, Trey White at the 3, Ben Humrickhouse at the 4, and either Johnson or Ivicic at the 5, I think, will be the starting 5. Obviously, that could change because Will Riley, with his ability, may fight and make his way into the lineup. We'll see. Can Dragibbs Lawhorn fight his way into the lineup? Quite possibly. Can Ty Rodgers be a starter? Absolutely. So we'll just see. But that speaks to the depth of what we're talking about with the Illini and what they're trying to do. What's up, Kedrick? Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Always appreciate your support. We're going to get you on here this summer. Chad, not sure if this is something you can comment on, but I can't recall a Ty Rogers jump shot. Will we see more of that in his game? Illinois has picked up a new piece of equipment. I think it's AI generated, and it does something. It's a rebounding situation with your shot. It gives you certain feedback on what you're doing with your shot. Brad Underwood said Ty Rogers is taking 1,500 jumpers a day. Most pros, most really elite shooters do 500 to 1,000 a day. If Ty Rogers is taking 1,500 jumpers a day, his jump shot will be intact. Yes, we will certainly see more of that in his game. Certainly. Okay. Let me make a banner real quick while I keep you on here. Do you guys think it was more mechanics, or do you think it was a situation of confidence for Ty Rogers with his struggles with his jump shot? I won't tell you what I want to hear what you guys think. All right. You know what? I'm going to verbalize this. I won't put this up. Well, wait. Yes, I will. Hold on. Bardo's breakdown summer meetup. So, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. So we're doing July. Oh, shoot. I really appreciate y'all's patience because I'm tripping right now. I should have done this beforehand, but I'm going to put it in here anyway because you guys are patient with me. Thank goodness. July 18th at Neal Street Blues in Champaign. 5 to 6:30. And then let me make another one. July 19th, Theory Sports Bar here in Chicago. And then same time, 5 to 6:30 p.m. All right. So this is the Bardo's Breakdown Summer Meetup. Now, the only way you can get into the summer meetup is if you're a member, if you're a tribe member. That means that I've got your email list and you're on the email newsletter. That's the only way that you can qualify for these summer meetups, because I've got a special gift for each of the members that's going to show up. And so if you show up and you haven't RSVP'd through the email list, then you can't attend. Okay. Now, if you're not a tribe member and you come after 6:30 and I'm still there, we can kick it and talk or whatever. I'd love to meet you, but I'd really want you to join the email list. Let me put this up. Go here and join the email list. Get your free copy, join the email list so that you can be involved in these summer meetups. All right. So, July 18th, Thursday, Neal Street Blues. We just got it confirmed. 5 to 6:30 for tribe members. And then in Chicago, the following day, July 19th, Theory Sports Bar, 5 to 6:30 p.m. here in Chicago. So those are the two dates for the Bardo's Breakdown summer meetups. All right. Hope to see you guys there. Hope for you all that have not joined the email list to go ahead and do so. Go to bardostribe.com, BARDOS tribe.com. All right. Back to your questions, and thank you for your patience. How does Dylan Harper compare to Ron Harper Jr.? Great question, Dory. Dylan is way more talented. He's taller. He's 6'8". He's a lefty. He can run the point. He's a little bit more athletic than Ron Harper Jr., and I think he can score easier. He's just a better player overall. Ron Harper Jr. was a killer. Very good scorer, very strong, but not really athletic. Dylan's a little bit more athletic, not quite as strong, but a little bit more slender, but can do it all at 6'8". from the point guard position. That's the main difference. Chad Alt, how does NIL money work for freshmen? Don't they need a reputation first? No. NIL is how do you value players, whether they're freshmen, whether they're transfers, whether they're seniors? That part of it doesn't matter. Whatever the program values the player, that's what dictates the NIL number. Nothing else. The freshmen don't get any different, aren't treated any differently from an NIL perspective than a senior or a coveted transfer. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever the program, whatever value the program puts on these freshmen or incoming freshmen, that's how much money they get. Fly Illini Fly says, but these rankings are funny. Well, they may be right now, Fly Illini Fly, but that's why it's way too early preseason top 25 rankings. We're continue to keep college basketball fans knowledgeable, continue to whet their appetites, continue to get you excited about what's coming up. And so, yeah, they might be silly right now or funny, but they'll change. They'll improve. So have faith. Andy Kaufman could shoot the leather off the ball, man. Kenya Knowles, yes, Andy was tough. Oh, Ken Liddell remembers that 3 to beat Iowa. And I think Andy had 30 plus that game, 33 or something like that. Went off and beat the Hawkeyes almost single-handedly. What's up, Curtis Dietz? Andy Kaufman was one of my favorites. I was at that Iowa game. Yep, bringing back a lot of memories. Who is the highest recruit in Illinois history? Wasn't Marcus Liberty the number 1 recruit in the country? Yes, he and Lowell Hamilton. So in a span of, what was that, 4 years or so, Illinois had 2 number 1 recruits in the country between Marcus Liberty and Lowell Hamilton. So yes, but those rankings are in they call it the internet era. So they're saying pretty much from 2000 on. So when you look at Will Riley, he's the highest recruit in the internet era. He's the highest recruit since D. Brown. D. Brown was number 17. Will Riley is number 9 in the country. Well, between the United States and Canada, he's number 9 player overall. So he's the highest ranked recruit since D. Brown, and he's the highest in the internet era. Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate that, man. I hope you guys enjoy these stories. I'm going to give you stories about Kendall Gill, Nick Anderson, Kenny Battle, Lowell Hamilton, the stars on the team. I got stories about them, but I also want to give you stories and back stories about some of the guys who were just as important to the team because they helped us prepare. They gave us emotional support. They would point things out to us when they weren't on the floor. When we came back to the bench, they'd given us words of encouragement. So they're just as much a part of the Flying Illini as the guys that had the bobbleheads made, except for yours truly. Doug Peterson, I think Illinois has the coaching staff program to excel in this portal recruiting game. If they can get them to gel, which I think they can, this should be a great time to be an Illini basketball fan. Doug, that's a great point. And I think if you guys really think about this, if you're Illinois basketball fans, this is the golden era. I know that sounds blasphemous. Hear me out. This is the golden era of Illinois basketball right now. When you look at the Big Ten championships in the last 5 years, Illinois has more wins against Big Ten programs than any other program. I believe Purdue has more wins overall, but against Big Ten teams, Illinois has the most wins of any program in the conference. I think they're second in wins over the last 5 seasons to Purdue overall. So right now, with the number of Big Ten championships, with the number of All-Americans, you couple in an Elite 8 run this past season, you're inside right now of the golden era of Illinois basketball. And so with the way that the Brad Underwood and his staff, the way that they flipped the roster, I was giving a lot of teams in the Big Ten a lot more love than Illinois. But that's why you can't rush to judgment. That's why you got to update what you're talking about. Because now with Will Riley coming into the fold and he's going to reclassify and be available, I think Illinois may have jumped to number one in the offseason in terms of flipping their roster and recruiting. So you're right, Doug. You ought to be very excited if you're an Illini fan right now, because to me, this is as good as it gets. Fly Illini Fly says Boswell, KJ. Oh, he's got Will Riley starting, Ben Humrickhouse, and Ivicic as the 5. The fact that he won't be starting, this team is freaking loaded. Trey going to be a great 6 man. What about Ty Rodgers? And the only reason I'm not starting Will Riley right now, Fly Illini Fly, I know he is a tantalizing talent, but he's 6'8", 180 pounds. There's a level of physicality that he's going to have to get used to. I'm not sure that level, that he's going to be able to handle that level of physicality from day one. I don't see it. Not at 180 pounds. Now, I'm not saying that he can't get strong enough to be in the starting lineup at some point, but I don't see it starting off. I get it because he's a 5-star recruit. You want to throw those guys right in the mix, but you're talking about a grizzled veteran in Trey White. Trey White may not have this kid's game, but will Riley be able to defend at the level that will put him in the starting lineup in an upper echelon top 25 team in the country? I don't know. History dictates that I'm questioning that. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. But I like your starting 5, Fly Illini Fly. I really do. Chad, I always liked Larry Smith. He and Andy were leftovers after y'all left, but you battled with Larry Alton's teams in high school, yes? No, never played Larry Smith in high school. But boy, did we battle once he got to Champaign. Larry Smith was the most talented player in that recruiting class. So when you talk about Nick Anderson, Kendall Gill, you might as well throw Kenny Battle in there because he transferred in that year. He had to sit out, and we practiced together. But throw Kenny Battle in there. Larry Smith was the most talented player in that class. He was unbelievable. And so I did not play against him in high school, but boy, and I was his roommate at Illinois. Were we roommates 2 years? Yeah, 2 years in the dorms. I was Larry's roommate. So yeah, I know Boo very, very well. Excellent, excellent player. Happy Monday, Tribe. Thank you, Kevin Hayward. Thank you for your support and always tuning in, my man. Yeah, Thomas, they'll get in there. Once they update it with Will Riley in tow, they'll update it. Much rather have too much talent problem than the alternative, run deep. Yeah, Doug, when you look at like, you look at what Alabama, UConn, Kansas, Duke, Arkansas, Kentucky, Baylor, what these teams are doing right now, they are stockpiling talent. And Illinois' staff is doing a fantastic job because certain guys they're bringing in players in the same position as some of the players that they've recruited. So you've got to be able to sell your guys on, look, guys, we're trying to win a national championship. Don't get intimidated if you've got a guy coming in your position. You've got to battle. You've got to compete. You got to be like an NBA team where they say the stars on the NBA team, like, who we got coming in? I'm not worried about competition. I want competition. And real-time ballers, they don't care who's coming in with their team. They have confidence that they're gonna either start or play enough minutes because they're gonna win their minutes. Okay? So I'm with you. You got to run deep if you're going to win a national championship, and that's what Illinois is striving for. Yeah, Kirk, we talked about the starting five. I think you just heard Will Fly Illini Flies um, starting five, and I told you what mine was. So you're good. Uh, Kenya Knowles, I mean, I think the days of the big man being featured in the NBA, I believe, may be over. But they're still definitely utilizing bigs, and I think Zach Edey would be one of these bigs in a second unit that will be he'll be a very solid pro, in my opinion, depending on the franchise that he goes to and the system that he's in. Um, it's definitely the bigs aren't over. Size and length are still very coveted in the NBA, but athleticism is as well. So that's going to be the key in trying to figure out a situation where his athleticism um, will be utilized, or his length and his size will be utilized, and his athleticism or lack thereof can kind of be, they can kind of mask that. But we'll see how that works. Um, yeah, there seems to be a lot of interest from the Knicks with what's been let out, and a lot of these mock drafts seems to think that the Knicks are pretty high on Terrence at 24. Um, Yeah, Dory, I don't think he would start. I think Terrence would be that kind of combo guard first off the bench that could really give the Knicks some points in transition, which I didn't see them getting a lot of in the playoffs. But Terrence could come in and be a lockdown 3-and-D defender and a guy that could get on the break and really cause havoc in the open court. I think I don't think that he would start, but I think that initially he could come off the bench and then possibly work his way into the starting lineup. We'll see. Kenneth Leaf, someone is going to be unhappy on this team for playing time. Who might struggle for playing time if Wiley comes in this year? Will Riley is coming this year. He's going to reclassify. And to me, Will Riley might be upset. Because again, guys, you're talking about a kid coming in from Canada, extremely talented, right? Can really score. Um, and the thing is, Brad Underwood and his staff, one of the games that they watched, Will Riley had, I think he had 40, he had 35 or 40 points. He was being face guarded. Coach Underwood said he didn't force a bucket at all. And teams are trying to be physical with him, and yet he still scored 40, 35 or 40 in the flow of a game. So this was at the high school level. His physicality or lack thereof was not a question. You're taking a big step up. So to me, he's going to be a guy that if he can't get his body right to compete each and every on both ends of the floor, he might be a player that might be upset due to lack of playing time. I think I think they're going to find a way to get guys minutes. I don't see Drew Gibbs Lawhorn. I think he's going to play starters minutes. He may not start, but I think he's going to play starters minutes. You can't keep Ty Rodgers off the floor. He's too valuable. Trey White is too veteran. This will be his third program, and he's had success at each stop. Jake Davis might be a guy that depending on how they're looking to play him, he might struggle getting minutes. Even though Brad Underwood and his staff have been quoted as saying he's a little bit better of a playmaker than they anticipated. Yeah, I think those guys, I think maybe Jake Davis, Will Riley. I think those two they may be upset due to lack of playing time, just based on who's in front of them and the veteran play, and Will Riley needing to get his body to a high Big Ten level. We'll see. But I think that those would be the guys who might struggle with minutes as of June 24th. November 1st, it could be a different story based on preseason practices and what we're hearing coming out of Champaign. Yeah, Kenya, it happens every year. You know that teams overlook players that turn out to be NBA All Stars at some point in their careers. So it happens every year, and teams are scared because of that rape charge. But gladly that's all behind him. And to me, guys, I think Terrence is going to get drafted. I think he's going to be he'll be a late lottery pick. I don't think he's going to go past 15. I think he'll be a late lottery pick. Um, good to see you, Aaron Janowski. Um, let's see. Okay, Frank Gerard says Will Riley will be a lock as a starter. Okay, we'll see. I like your confidence, Frank. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, Kirk, it's way too early to figure that out. We just have to see how these guys blend with one another. There's going to be certain lineups that coaches going to want to put on the floor against certain teams, the way that they'll try to attack. But the good thing is, in the non-conference, Illinois will play Duke, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Alabama. So they've got great opportunities to figure out how they're going to work their roster and whatnot. Okay, Curtis D says Rogers' shooting was mechanical. Free throw shooting, I think, was about confidence. Okay, we'll see. All right, Kevin Hayward, I'm looking forward to seeing you there, bro. Here at Theory Sports Bar, Fridays, July 19th, right here in Chi-Town, baby. Look forward to seeing you, Kevin. I agree, Thomas. Ty's confidence does lie in his ability to get to the rim. But when you're shooting 15 jumpers a day, 1,500 jumpers a day, he's going to get the confidence and the muscle memory in that jump shot. Believe me. Let me get to Jason Bumgarner. Curious how they were going to disperse minutes with the roster that is possibly pretty deep. Yeah, we'll figure that out. I think, guys, here's the thing. Last year was a key indicator, in my opinion, of what Illinois could do this season. Here's why. Brad Underwood said last year's team had 104 practices total. They had 3 bad practices all year. 2 of them were before the Penn State game, thus a loss. So with a team that had a lot of their main guys were transfers in, and they had to blend their chemistry quickly. I think the least of the problems for the Illini this year is how Underwood is going to disperse the minutes, because I think he's shown the ability to quickly blend chemistry with guys coming from different situations, and also, being honest in communication with the guys and say, hey, you may not get a lot of minutes tonight based on the matchup. So honest communication and being upfront with the players, I think, really helps. And Brad and his staff do a really good job of that. Well, Curtis, you gotta go to bardostribe.com and sign up for the newsletter if you're not on it. I look forward to seeing you on the 18th in Champaign. Uh, oh, let's see. Fly Line Fly has been on it, ladies and gentlemen. He is certainly on it. He stays tapped into what's going on in college basketball for sure. Jeffrey, Ty Rogers could be a starter. Guys, it's so early. We're making projections. We don't know. It's too early. I know Will Riley is tantalizing, but 180 pounds, I think that's what he's listed at. I know the coach said he's got the it factor. He's probably wiry strong, but we'll see. I'm not going to just anoint Will Rogers a starter because he's a 5-star. I may be going against the crowd, but I don't know. We'll see. What's up, Ron Charles? Your dad was very perceptive. Lou Henson was not the right coach for Marcus Liberty. Marcus Liberty was a Billy Owens, Roy Tarpley type, but even more of a guard. Marcus Liberty was really a 2-guard with handles. And he was very unique at that time in college basketball. Lou Henson wasn't prepared to understand what Marcus brought to the program. And so Marcus really should have gone to Syracuse and played with Jim Boeheim because he could have hid defensively. He would have been featured offensively. He would have fit in very well with Syracuse. Lou just didn't understand how to utilize him. So, Ron, your dad was correct in that Marcus should have been a Syracuse orange rather than the Fighting Illini with us. So your dad was very, very perceptive on that, Ron. Because Chad, Penn State likes to do things on campus because it gives it a better environment. The Bryce Jordan Center at Penn State was really not built for a basketball. It's a basketball arena, but it's a multi-event use space is what it really is. It's cavernous. It's really big. It's hard to generate a lot of volume in that facility. So Penn State likes to go on campus or they like to go to the Palestra. So last year they did the Palestra and went on campus at Alumni Hall. And it was a great atmosphere. So I think we'll see more of that. And especially since the fact that they upset Illinois, I think that you'll see more of that. Get somebody else. When does Morez Johnson make the starting lineup? Could be from day one. I mean, Morez got great experience winning the gold medal with Team USA. He is in the fold right now. He's leading the Illini in rebounding during their scrimmages. So he could be in the starting lineup from day one. We'll see. Yes, he did start most of the games last season. Adam, I wouldn't rank him just behind Lou herself. I mean, he got Kofi Coburn, All-American. Io DeSumo, All-American. He brought in Terrence Shannon, All-American. Brought in Matthew Meyer, who was coming off a national championship team. Tregibbs Lawhorn is going to turn out to be, these guys got a chance to, with his scoring ability and his athletic ability, he has a chance. Ty Rogers has a chance. I think the jury's out. Give him another year or two, and then let's come back at him and reassess where Brad Underwood as a recruiter. I don't know. I think that's a good one, but let's give it a couple years and come back. But I don't know if I put him behind Self and Lou. I think he might be right there on par with them based on what we've seen here. Why do you think this? Check it out, 7. Why do you think they might be better off playing the younger guys early on, even if we lose some games, just to give Merez and Riley experience? I don't think it works like that. If they're going to fight their way into playing minutes, Merez Johnson may start. Will Riley may start. So I don't think you look at it. I think today's era, check it out, 7, is different. Whether you're a freshman or a senior or a transfer, if you can help me win right now, because it's not about the future, it's about right now. If you can help me win right now, you're going to get on the floor. So if they earn those minutes, he's not going to not play a freshman if they deserve to play. He's not doing that. If they deserve to play and they fought their way into minutes, they're going to see minutes. I don't think there's any certain qualifications to get your jersey retired and hung in the State Farm Center. Terrence Shannon Jr. certainly is going to get his up there. And so now you've got 3 players in the Underwood era that will have jerseys retired. Kofi Coburn, Ayo Dosunmu, and now Terrence Shannon Jr. That's pretty impressive. So I don't know if there's a certain qualification, but all 3 of those guys are All-Americans. So that certainly helps. Hi, Angelo. How you doing? Are you running again in the Big Ten 5K on July 13th? If so, how do we meet up with you? Yeah, you know what, Angelo? I probably am not going to do that because I had a great time, and I may show up and just hang out at the Big Ten tent. I'll let you know. More than likely, I'll just show up. I'm 56 and I want to save my joints as long as I can. So I've kind of really cut back my running outside on hard pavement. I ran this morning, but I go on soft surfaces like a track or sand or something like that. And I'm only running very infrequently. So I loved it. I had a great time running, and the whole event is great. So I probably will go and hang out, Angelo, but just not maybe not run. So look for me there. I'll definitely try to show up and come to the Big Ten tent, and we'll chop it up. But thank you for that, Angelo. Look forward to seeing you. That's right, Simeon Fuller. Time will tell. A lot of talent for them to figure out, and for those guys to compete and figure out who's going to get those minutes. Um, check it out, 7. I think Matt Painter may be different this season. You've had the reigning player of the year the last 2 seasons. He's going to command a lion's share of the minutes at the post position. I think it might be a little bit different moving forward. Purdue is really deep, and so I think you're going to see Matt Painter maybe play a little bit differently now that he doesn't have the National Player of the Year returning. He's got a tremendous team, a tremendous backcourt with tremendous depth. So I think that you're going to see a little bit different. They have a 5-man freshman incoming class that's very talented. So some of those guys are going to play. So I think it's going to be a little bit different this season with the roster makeup and the fact that Zach Edey has not returned. Yeah, you're right. Check it out, 7. Riley to do the opposite of intermittent fasting. You're exactly right. He's going to have to eat Big Macs 5 times a day in addition to the meals that they prescribe. Yeah, Kenya, you're right. He could be a KD type. It could be a Reggie Miller type who's wiry, strong, and can go get it. So that's why I'm saying we'll see. We'll see. Stacy Goodson, who would be your Mount Rushmore of head coaches in the Big Ten right now? Mount Rushmore of head coaches in the Big Ten. Matt Painter would be on there. If you're giving me four, ooh, Matt Painter, Tom Izzo is going to he's going to be up there regardless because he's the godfather. And then two more. Uh, ooh. Dana Altman may be on there, Stacy, because I saw a stat in the last 15 seasons. There's been four programs to win 20 games or more the last 15 years. Kansas, Oregon, Belmont, and Gonzaga are those four teams. And Oregon is one of them, and that's Dana Altman. So that's consistency that's really unparalleled. So you're looking at Painter, Izzo, Dana Altman, and Diebler's new at Ohio State. I'd probably go with Underwood. I'd put him in there. So I'm looking at Painter, Izzo, Dana Altman, Brad Underwood. I mean, you could probably Greg Gard could certainly get some consideration in there. Fran McCaffrey at Iowa could get consideration. Um, yeah, what would be yours, Stacy? Good question. Vincent Patterson. Vincent, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate you. Illinois have a taller, more versatile team this year. Could take a few games to figure out all the game, no doubt. But they got that great non-conference slate to figure it all out. Everyone has not arrived on campus yet. I think Will Riley will be in next week. JK came in this past week. So most of the guys are on campus now. And I think Will Riley will get there next week. It would, but now that they're getting this time over the summer, I think that's fine. Think about this, guys. They go from June, they'll get a little break in August. They go from June all the way to March. That's a grind and not a lot of time off. So they'll have plenty of time to get their chemistry, their cohesion, and again, their non-conference slate will give them plenty of tests to figure out if they're ready or not. Let's see. I think their whole team the whole coaching staff should get credit. Obviously, Brad Underwood's the closer, where Orlando Antigua's done a fantastic job. But Jeff Alexander has done a great job. Tim Anderson continues to do a great job. So I think the whole staff deserves credit. Yeah, fly line I fly. Yes, but Fletcher's gotten guys ready with time. And again, Riley could be a Reggie Miller, KD type in terms of really being thin and wiry strong. But again, you show me guys that start on Power Four conference teams that weigh 180 pounds. Go through the lineups and show me anybody on their rosters that are 180 pounds that are getting consistent minutes. I don't think you'll find anybody. But it he could be different. He could be an anomaly. Could be. We'll see. But even with fly line and fly, it's going to take him some time to get up to speed physically. You don't make that type of jump in a few months. From my experience, but we'll see. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Um, Antoine Pitt, Bardo, my first time posting, but been watching for months. Okay, great. Thank you for joining, Antoine, and thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, man. I appreciate it. I remember weekly, everyone was battling you about Xavier Booker. I think you turned out correct. He wasn't strong enough. Yeah, I mean, he just needed more experience. And, we want these guys. That's the same thing with Will Riley. Just because they're 5-star recruits, that doesn't mean a thing, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't mean anything. These players might not be ready. Xavier Booker just wasn't ready, but I think he's ready now. The word I'm getting out of Michigan State, he's made a lot of progress in the spring, and we still got a lot of the summer left. So Xavier Booker will be that guy. It's just taking him a little bit longer. That's all. But thanks for tuning in, Antoine. I appreciate you. Consider going to bardostribe.com, BARDOS tribe.com, getting your free copy of Triple Threat, Stephen Bardo's Guide to Basketball Terminology. It also signs you up for the email newsletter. I think you'll enjoy that because I give different insight on the newsletter that I don't talk about necessarily on Bardo's Breakdown. But thank you for tuning in and joining and your support. I don't think we're playing in any early season tournament. Not to my knowledge. I haven't seen the rest of the non-conference slate, but I don't think we're in any preseason tournament like that. Okay, Dory's got the requirements for having your jersey hung in State Farm Center. National Player of the Year, enshrined in National Basketball Hall of Fame, Big Ten Player of the Year, consensus first and second team All-American, Illinois All-Century team member. Okay, Dory. I see you. No, Antoine, that was a national game. I didn't get a chance to call. Angel Reese is here. She ain't coming. She's here. She is here. Malcolm McCallum has his Mount Rushmore is 5. His Mount Rushmore is 5 Brad Underwoods. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. Kenya, I came in at 195. 190 or 195 as a freshman. And I think I gained from the summer. I think I came in at 190 in the summer. By the time we were playing, I think I was right at 200. And then I got as high as 209. And I think I finished at 205 as a senior. So, yeah, I was a little light in the britches as well, but I've been lifting weights. I was one of those wiry, strong cats. Like, I was thin, but I was strong as an ox. I had lifted weights since my freshman year in high school, and I was doing Nautilus, then I was doing free weights. I was a little bit advanced than a lot of high school players during my time. So I was a little bit of an anomaly. Fly, Illini, fly. Cam Christie was 160 when he first came in. 160, fly, Illini, fly. So what you're telling me is, because now I got to look this up. At Minnesota. I'm going to look this up. Well, all right. So, okay. I think I'm not going to question flying Illini fly too much anymore because according to 24/7 Sports, he was 6'5", 160. Wow. Let me see what he was listed. What he was listed at Minnesota. If I can type. Cam Christie, Minnesota. Let's see. So he was certainly that in high school. So they have Cam Christie listed at 6'6", 190. So I'd be shocked if he put on 30 pounds from the time that he may have put on 30 pounds, but he was listed this past season at 6'6", 190. That's 30 pounds. That's a lot of weight. But Kendall Gill he came in, Kendall was 175 or 180, and he left at 225. But Kendall had 4 years. So that's different. But great. Hey, Flying Line I Fly is on it. I'm not going to doubt him any longer. Okay, Stacey Goodson has very similar to what I've got. Josh Weger, how come the Flying Illini didn't have a true center? Because we didn't need one. We were the number 1 team in the country. We got beat at Wisconsin, and that cost us a Big Ten title. We lost to a team in the Final Four that won the national championship that we'd beaten twice in the regular season by double digits. We didn't need a true center. We were a very unique team. We were one of the first teams in college basketball to play positionless basketball. That's why we didn't have a true center. Y'all hating on Jawan Howard over here. Stop that. I did not see that, but I'm not surprised. And Jasper Johnson is another 5-star recruit that's has Illinois in terms of his favorites. This happens often now where players are trying to, if they've signed and they're going to a particular program and they know a guy, they've played with another player, played against a player, that they'll start to reach out to him and throw it out there and see what happens. I love it. That's when social media works. Yeah, I know. I saw. He said he's ready to play and has an it factor. I saw that same video. I think Brad Sturdy of the Illini Inquirer posted. I saw that. Yeah, that's a good point. Jasper Johnson grew up and has lived in the Lexington area his whole life. They said it would be a stretch to get him to consider any other school outside of Kentucky, but don't forget Orlando Antigua has developed such great relationships with these players, guys. Illinois right now, from a prospective player standpoint, is Illinois not as attractive as Kentucky? You're vying for conference championships. They just came off an Elite Eight run. You're getting All-Americans come to your program. Is Kentucky more attractive than Illinois? For a homegrown Kentucky kid, the Kentucky Wildcats is that's hard not to take. If they want you, 95% of the time, you're going to go to Kentucky. But there's still an outside chance. So don't pencil him in for Kentucky as of yet. Kenya Knowles, hardest team to guard. Everybody was about 6'5" to 6'7". All-time favorite Illinois team, fun to watch and dunked on everybody. You got that right, Kenya. So looks like I got through all the questions. Guys, make sure that you sign up here for Bardo's where am I? Go get your free copy of Triple Threat, Stephen Bardo's Guide to Basketball Terminology. Go to bardostribe.com. Get your free copy. It will sign you up for the email newsletter as well. I want to see you guys get on here because I want to see you at these Bardo's Breakdown Summer Meetups. You can join the tribe as well. Text me 312-847-2739. And for those that are involved in the tribe, here we go. First Bardo's Breakdown Summer Meetup in Champaign, July 18th, Neal Street Blues, 5 to 6:30 p.m. And then the following day here in Chicago, July 19th, Theory Sports Bar, 5 to 6:30 p.m. I may have some special guests with me. And for all the tribe members that show up, I've got a special gift for you, but I may have someone that you all might find interesting to come. So thanks for watching Bardo's Breakdown. Love you guys. Have the great rest of your week. Let's pull for all these Big Ten players to have their names called in this week's NBA draft. And enjoy the summer. Until next time, holla, y'all.